Eren is an idiot, and that was probably the most genius thing I've ever heard. Run the clip again. When I first was starting to realize his plan, I started to feel something slowly grow inside me. It wasn't even just confusion, but it was anger. That they were going to make Eren's grand plan completely stupid unintentionally. I thought to myself, if he wants so badly to protect his friends, then why does he go so dramatically out of his way to put them in harm's way? I mean, Hanji and Sasha, especially the former, pretty much directly died because of Eren's actions here. It was a stupid plan. The thought wouldn't leave my head. And then this happened. And honestly, I almost had to laugh, because I'd unintentionally been influenced by all the hate for AOT that I thought, even for just a split second, that the ending would be any less of a masterpiece than the rest of the series, especially the final season. I, in the end, was the stupid one, as I genuinely thought that Isayama had just messed up here. But then I got a stark reminder of something. The man is an absolute genius. But why do I think this? Well, friends, because it aligns with Eren's character. As I said in this video here, Eren doesn't really develop as a character. Except at the time, I was kind of wrong. He went from being a hot-headed idiot to a cool, calm, and collected mastermind. His reasoning remained the same, sure, but his demeanor and seemingly his intelligence just changed overnight. Sure, he knew the future, which will always change a person, but he really did change a lot. And at the time, I didn't have a problem with this, as I was just along for the ride. But then, well, I was proven wrong. He never changed. He quite literally never developed, even more so than I had realized. In the end, he remained as he started, an idiot. The genius of this goes beyond just that, though, and goes into the second part of the title of this video. Eren is a child. During his final conversation with Armin, he had first maintained his cool and collected facade when discussing Mikasa and her potential future husband, but after Armin punches him, that facade completely breaks down. And what we were left with is a pathetic child, wailing that he never wants Mikasa to move on, that he wants her to think only of him for at least 10 years. This being the most scuffed indirect love confession in anime history aside, what this shows is who Eren truly is. Armin even states that honestly, it's a bit sad. Eren was never allowed to grow up. He was constantly being pressured by the Titans outside of those seemingly fragile walls. His freedom was always restricted. And once those walls fell, his growth was stunted even more. Like David Martinez and Obito Uchiha before him, you can't expect someone who grew up within such violence and bloodshed to grow up, well, normally. You just can't. If you've seen my Arcane video, you already know my opinions on such things like terrorism. But to summarize, future terrorists are born, obviously, as children. But in such war-torn places where much of the violence is caused, either directly or indirectly, by aggressors like the United States, well, you can't expect them to grow up and have a fully intact psyche. That shit just messes with you, making you more susceptible to be indoctrinated under a regime that hates the same country you hate, whichever aggressor that may be. That was a very brief explanation of my very in-depth thoughts, but I'll probably elaborate upon it in a future section of this video, the larger video this is to be a part of, or you can always just go watch my Arcane video. I promise it's a good time. This leads into the psyche of Eren. We are led to believe throughout the whole series that he just wants his freedom, which then, during the final half of the final season, turns into him wanting freedom for his friends. He wants to save them, we think. Little did we know that said motivation would completely break down at the end, rightfully so, I might add, since it was always a stupid plan, as I said before. But what will replace it? What is his actual dream? Well, it's to see this sight, and then this one. Finally, we are shown Eren's actual dream, and I'm welling up just saying this, it's to go beyond the walls. It has always stayed the same. The amount of times this dream has been recontextualized, how many things have been added onto it, just for it to remain how it started since the first seconds of episode 1. Well, I can't state how genius I think that is. Eren just wanted to see these sights, the one him and Armin always dreamed of. That's it. That's all. He wanted to see this. But I do think it goes a bit deeper than that. Eren, as a perpetual child, wanted to childishly rebel against the world that hated him. And this is where the genius of the rumbling specifically comes into play. As a child tends to want to do, Eren quite literally just throws a giant tantrum against the very world, stomping around and breaking things. Except in this case, the feet are much bigger, and what he is breaking is 80% of humanity. So, yeah. Many will and have called this character assassination, and I get that perspective. I really do. But we have to question how it is that Eren started, and the fact that he ends the same way, while also taking into account the inevitably fractured psyche of a victim of gruesome fear and violence. You are the one who wanted Eren to be a badass, while failing to realize he was just a scared, little, idiotic child given way too much power this entire time. Don't worry, I made that mistaken assumption too. But not only is Eren a developmentally stunted child, he is also an idiot, as he himself states. And when he does this, I don't know why, but the moment was so surreal to me. You have all this violence, all this unnecessary bloodshed, so many character stakes and personal memories with this series. Literally so much complex shit has happened, and then to summarize it all, Eren goes, well, it's so stupidly simple, so beautifully stupid, that it cuts right to the very heart of the show, literally tying almost every plotline and character moment of Eren's together, right at the bitter end. What I think Isayama was going for here is to say that those in charge, those given way too much power, are just idiots. And while I don't necessarily agree with this claim, I can surely appreciate it. To see why I disagree, here is an excerpt from my Arcane video. And, well, she's certainly not wrong about the council. While initially depicted as the usual lazy people in power, Arcane realizes that politicians are far from lazy, but just that they have a personal stake in so many different ventures that they will oppose virtually any policy that would disrupt that money flow. The problem is that doing that, basically anything would disrupt that, so literally nothing happens. Eren is an idiotic child, plain and simple. Everything he did, everything he destroyed, was not for some grand plan or to protect his friends. It was because he wanted to see the sea, because he wanted to throw a childish tantrum and stomp on things. Because, in the end, he was an idiot that was given way too much power. When you combine that with his clear developmental studiedness, and maybe I'm the only one here, think that's simply just genius. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe and turn post notifications on, as this is only going to be a small section in a much, much larger Attack on Titan ending defense and explanation video. Like, I'm talking 2 to 3 hours worth here. I don't know when it'll come out, but rest assured it will be sometime relatively soon, so please keep an eye out for it. Now, a word from our sponsors, Squid Boy, my horror short film. Here is the trailer. And as always, thank you for watching.